Hey, how's your 2020 going? Everything great? Everything perfect? Absolutely nothing going wrong? Well, if you're like me, my 2020 has been absolutely packed, but I am back and I am trying to release as many videos as possible. First, I want to give you an update of where I've been since my last video. In January, I went to an FTC luncheon. I was able to talk to Commissioner Phillips for a couple of minutes, and I was able to give him the list of questions I talked about in my last video. And then, in the end of January, beginning of February, there was a personal situation that dealt with some people that I knew, and really it just reinforced why I think COPPA is so bad. Because it was firsthand experience how guardians can use private chats and other things online to be really controlling of their kids, and that also took up a lot of my time. Later in February, we got a call back from the FCC about the letter of questions that I gave to Commissioner Phillips. Pretty much 99.9% of what we said in the first COPPA video is completely accurate. There was only one thing off, and ironically, it's worse than we thought. We are going to try to get out a video going deeper into all of the information. We didn't get a video out earlier due to the fact we were more focused on trying to actually fix COPPA, as well as the other situations that has happened since then. Then in early March, I was invited to the Satellite 2020 conference in DC as a speaker. We decided to go down because there were not too many cases at the time on the East Coast. But in areas up here in New Hampshire, and since we're north of Boston, those areas were expanding. And since at the time it was only said to be 14 days, we're like, hey, let's head out for 7 days for a bit down in DC, which really didn't have many cases. And if you heard, this keynote speaker of this conference was Elon Musk. And if you saw any of the articles mentioning that Elon Musk thought that colleges were stupid, that was just a little bit my fault. Okay, that was completely my fault. So what happened was, at the keynote speech, the person who organized the entire thing offered for me to ask a question to Elon during the speech. And so the question I asked was this.
Hi, my name is Julie Seven Sage, and Mr. Musk, you have said in the past that you think that college degrees shouldn't be that important, and that has been showed in job listings in places such as Tesla. However, in places like CIS industry, including even at SpaceX, in the satellite development area, many of the job listings say that you need at least a bachelor's degree and prefer at least a master's degree. So my question to you is, with more jobs asking for higher levels of degrees, that scholarships are not changing amounts, and that it's getting harder and harder every year to pay tuition, even with using scholarships. How can colleges and industries make it easier to afford college, but at the same time being able to pay grad students and employees well, and also to make sure that there is a large-scale access to good colleges, especially to underprivileged communities, so that everyone can be a part of the future we're building? Thank you.
And his answer was not that colleges are stupid. What his answer was that colleges should not be the only thing that's required. You should also have an alternative of related experience. He said that college doesn't overly show that much for some people, and so having related experience and doing something big and actually trying to do something in the field should be as important, if not more. And he talked about how there are some super famous people that never even got their degree. And that's what his answer was, as well as he said he will talk to his hiring managers to make sure that there is the alternative of related experience. Problem was that on Monday, the first case in DC was confirmed. It was a rector who gave communion to 500 people. And it was basically right next to where we were, so that wasn't the best. But while we were down there, we met with the staff of 2 of my state senators about COPPA, which was on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we actually talked about a lot of stuff, and they seemed to be very cooperative in listening, so I am super glad about that. But then DC decided to shut everything down, so my panel that was supposed to be on Thursday was canceled. It was the right thing to do though because the cases started increasing rapidly, and so at that point we headed back home. We thought we were really safe because we're trying to be as safe as possible, least amount of contact, making sure to use hand sanitizer, and definitely to wash our hands whenever we could. But we think my dad may have got it. My dad is fine now, but we're still not sure, so we're still trying to be careful, staying at home and doing everything we can to be as safe as possible. There has also been a lot of misinformation online about the pandemic and things like masks and ventilators. So, my dad has been especially helping me on Twitter, and we've been trying to put out as much correct information as possible and put out all of what the experts are saying, such as with 3D printing respirator masks, which, if not cleaned properly, would cause bacterial infections that turn into pneumonia. So if you follow me on Twitter, I have been super busy on there trying to deal everything with the pandemic. Then, of course, with quarantine and online schooling as well, I've been pretty busy. Again, I am hoping to get caught up on all the videos. We're going to try to get out as many as we can. Even with a lot of science being put on hold, there has been a lot of science I haven't been able to cover these past few years that I absolutely loved and wanted to cover so bad. So we're hoping to get some of those older studies out to give you something else to think about during these times. Oh, and with putting out more videos, someone online brought up dog belly belts being used as masks. So for our first video after this, we're going to test to see if it's any good, and in it we found a good way to test masks. Again, I'm going to be putting out a bunch of videos, and we're going to be switching up a bit because I want to do some videos on what kind of masks are the best, how to test different materials to use for masks, how to disinfect your shoes, because yes, right now that is a thing, as well as I wanted to put out fun videos because, let's be honest, we all need a little bit of a break. And also, I will still be putting out stuff about COPPA, because even though people are like, hey, I haven't been hit yet, COPPA enforcement is coming. It's because the FCC hasn't started looking yet and people haven't started reporting yet. So in about a year, people are going to start being hit. And with all this online learning towards kids, a whole lot of people are going to get hit. So make sure to watch those videos as well. And thank you for staying with me throughout the break and while I was gone. It means a lot to me. And let's get sciencing. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. I turned 16 on April 24th, which feels kind of weird because this year has felt like 20 years.